Yo, 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 it's your boy Vigilante Styles here, and we're going to mix a song today, a Synthwave song. What is the name of it? I forgot, but it'll be in the description. Let me... Oops, I can't seem to type for shit right now. Synthwave song. Okay, so... let me double check everything here is good. That you guys can see. Oh, you can't see my favorite plugins on the far left. Well, this is as good as it gets because of the way that this software is oriented. You really want to see my console workflow. So no doubt Harrison Mixbus does have some degree of console sound. I've said this before, the EQ is not perfect, but I got EQs. It's all good. I don't have to use that one. As a matter of fact, there's an EQ that I do like to use. When I feel like, because this EQ is good, but sometimes on harsh tracks, it's really hard to clean it up. And that's because the EQ is clean. It's just a clean digital EQ. So I would then go grab an analog emulation, which Analog Obsession plugins work fucking wonderful in Harrison Mixbus 32C. I highly recommend. I mean, they're free, right? So I highly recommend you go just grab everything they have and load it into Harrison Mixbus 32C. All the newer ones work flawlessly. So in this case here we have the bus compressor here, Analog Obsession bus compressor. I have my SSL bus compressor settings. Let's be honest, man, you can't beat an SSL bus compressor for bus compression, right? Because the compressor they have here is just a channel compressor, and it's just a leveler, which is kind of like an LA2A. Those don't belong on the master bus, in my opinion. You need a dedicated bus compressor on your master bus. And this thing is wonderful. And it has oversampling when you click the Analog Obsession logo. So that's a nice thing. I do have... Let me pull this up. I do want this sitting on the side because sometimes I might feel like I want to go for this EQ. And it's called Hercules. What do you know? It's a Harrison EQ. All right, so let me just drag this over into the side here. I do want this as a favorite. Replace existing preset with this name. I don't see it on the side here. Pro R Timeless 3, Pro G Buster, DB Comp, Fiverr Prebox, Rare SD Loads. Okay, I guess. Alright, there, it's in there now. But yeah, and you can oversample this one and it doesn't have a cramping high mid bill. Lovely, Dope. Yeah, so let me get rid of it though. I don't need it for now, but I want it on my favorites list, right? So anyway, let's get mixing. These are basically stems too, I think. They could have bust the drums like they did, but yeah, because I mean, there's some drum stuff like claps and stuff and congos that are not in the drum kit. So anyway, when mixing, it's always good to start with the kick drum and bass. Work out the low end first before you start going up higher. But since there's a drum kit, you work with the drums, basically drums and percussions first. Kick drum, bass, then the rest of the drums, perks. And then like harmonic instruments, so guitars, pianos, whatnot, and then more melodic instruments and brighter instruments last, right? So like effects, like swoosh effects and stuff like that last, strings, lead synth of some kind, wormy synths, whatever. That's when you want to do those. Anyway, let's get mixing. So here we go. I like to grab Fiverr. It's a emulation of a Rupert Neve Designs Portico 5033 EQ. It's a smoother sounding EQ, especially plugin wise. It is, and I like to grab that when I feel like a sound that I'm listening to should be smoother on the top instead of this crunchiness. Not really crunchiness. You can kind of hear it. It's like sand in a little bit. It sounds like kind of like sandy stuff on the very top end, and this smooths it out really really well. And that's why I like to grab this. I like to go for this one when I need that, when I must have smoothness on the top. But the stock Harrison EQ is usually just fine for like most of the heavy lifting, but sometimes when you need to go a little smoother, this is a good, very, very extremely wonderfully good alternative. That Neve EQ really gets the job done, doesn't it? Like, it's just that good, man. I love it. It's wonderful. I love the fact that this setup here is a lot like mixing out of the box, you know? I mean, how many times in like reality would you go for like what they call it, an outboard EQ? So you have your desk EQ, but if you don't want to use it, you have outboard EQ. And that's exactly how this is working, and I'm pretty happy with that. So anyway, let's continue. And that's that. How quick did we mix this? Like 15 tracks? Psh, it was nothing. And it was fun on top of it all. It was fun to mix like this. So now it's like I'm like looking for songs to mix all over the place. I just love mixing. But especially mixing here. So yes, I was hard on the Harrison company because of other YouTubers and how they've exposed some of their products to be not as advertised. But it doesn't make them bad tools. And especially this workstation, man. This thing is the most superior thing ever. It blows Pro Tools away. Blows it away. By leaps and bounds. FL Studio's for making beats. Okay? That's what that's for. Some people want to mix in FL Studio, that's fine. You can mix in FL Studio, you can mix in anything. But this thing here is made for mixing. This is a mix engineer's DAW right here. It's strictly that's what it's for. You don't make beats in this. I know you can, but I don't know anybody who does, right? Like this thing is built for mixing. This is a mix engineer's setup. You have your console right here for work. That was the whole point of having the consoles. A lot of the times they weren't really doing it mostly for the sound. They were doing it because of the utility. This thing has all the utility that you need to put together a mix quickly and efficiently. And if there's something about it that you have a problem with, you can run a plugin in it if you want. But I did do a little bit of desk EQ, basically, what comes with it, stock EQ. And when I thought that I needed to smooth the sounds out better, I know the limitations of this EQ, and I know what the other EQs do because I put them through Plugin Doctor. And I have come to very much like Fiverr from Analog Obsession, the Rupert Neve Designs Portico 5033 EQ. I love it. 5-band EQ, smooth as peanut butter on a sound, has very gentle saturation, and it's nice. Really, really nice. And you have oversampling. I don't see a reason to oversample. None of these sounds had a lot of high end, so I'm not worried about aliasing on any of the high end. There's not enough high end on these instruments to justify me turning on oversampling. However, there is enough in the mix to justify turning on oversampling on the bus compressor. The bus compressor should be oversampled. So, and no big hurt on the CPU. The DSP's at 20%. Lovely. So I'm happy with it. Like I said, as a mixing system, this is ideal. This is superior to Pro Tools by leaps and bounds. The editing in here, if you need to do it, it's good and it's logical. And you can do polarity optimization, although these are, there's no reason to do that these are synths. This is Synthwave. That would be something more so if everything was mic'd up, right? Like a band, a band of some kind or an orchestra or something like that, where you may have phase relationship issues. That's another thing. It takes care of that for you, so you don't have to go and listen to each band and flip the phase and hear if it sounds better or not by flipping the phase. And you don't have to do that. You can just simply do it here, and it's wonderful. Just like it's basically one thing. Like you go here, you go to editor, right? Then you go highlight all your tracks. Now this shows the drum kit that came in was hot right here. It was, but there's nothing I can do about it because it was recorded hot. So anyhow, but it does give you that information. You would basically, actually that's not how you would do it. You would do it this way. You would grab this, where's that tool, man? Not cut mode. I guess it would be this, range mode, right? Yeah, it would be range mode. You would grab a range, right? I'm not going to do this, but I'll just show you how it's done. So you grab a range or whatever, make sure you got all the instruments in that range. Then you would right click, and then you would go to optimize polarity. Oh, it's doing it. Oh, well, I don't have to set it. but it's doing polarity analysis, and then boom. Right now I'm leaving it as nothing. Or actually, I'm going to go to old. I don't really want it to flip any phase right now. But that's the phase relationships that I think is the channels that should be flipped, and they're automatically flipped for you. The other one's left alone. But I'm going to stick with old. And that's that. Because I don't want to change anything on this mix. But that's how you do polarity optimization. Go here. So now you know how to do that. If you ever thought the need to do something like that. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All my future videos, I'm going to be mixing with Harrison Mixbus 32C. That's just my DAW of choice for mixing, period. I know that people are like, hey, why don't you mix in FL Studio? Show us how you do it with stock plugins. Why? There's like a million videos of that on YouTube. Why do you need to see me do it? Watch the other guys' videos who do that stuff. I'm going to show you how to use this. Because to me, this is what I like. This is what I think works for me, works for my system workflow, and I get a consistent good sound out of it. And if you want to get this, I'm using version 6, guys. I didn't get into version 8. I'm sure there's some great upgrades to it. I just don't see a need for it. There's nothing... This does everything as it is right here for me. Maybe if they upgrade the engine or some compatibility or something. But this works flawlessly. I'm happy. But, you know, to each their own. But I'm using version 6 because that's when I bought it, which is probably about 2 years ago. Got version 6 Mixbus 32C. Been off and on using it. And I stopped using it. I uninstalled it. Got all pissed off at the Harrison company over the stuff that they discovered on Dan Worrell's video. And you know, when I did a null test and I said their plugins failed a null test. Well, duh, it's a workstation, digital workstation, duh, right? And the sound really is coming from driving through the buses, right? So if you turn the drive off, you're not going to get any sound. Well, let's be honest here. If you're mixing in the box, you should be mixing digital, right? So it should be clean for the most part, but you can give it a little bit of vibe, right? So this is the way I look at it. So the drive here is tape saturation, and it's not applied to the top end. It's applied to the bottom and mid-range, which is completely fine. It means you don't get any aliasing artifacts from using the drive. And it's good sounding drive, right? That alone, to me, is enough to give it a console feel, right? Because that's ultimately what are we chasing when we do analog emulation? It's harmonics, right? So saturation is what you're chasing in order to get, get the analog sound. Now, the nice thing is when you use Analog Obsession plugins in this, well, their plugins have saturation all through the whole plugin, right? From top to bottom. That's why they have oversampling. They have oversampling because of the simple fact, well, for two reasons. The main reason is when you're EQing sounds that are high and getting close to Nyquist, you can oversample, give yourself some more headroom so you don't have audible aliasing. So you get a nice clean top. Second, it's the complaint that they had with the Harrison EQs is really a complaint for most EQs, right? Including the one that Surmagania uses, the metric halo channel strip. It has a cramping bell curve. The bell curves cramp. So Harrison could do this by applying oversampling, but they don't do that because it's all about having a workstation that you can use. If that were a problem, that's why you have plugins. That's the whole problem. That's what you have plugins for, guys. You don't have to always use stock shit. Throw the plugin in there. The plugin has oversampling, and then you won't have a cramping bell. This doesn't have a cramping bell even without oversampling on, but I only use the oversampling when on high instruments with high frequencies. Let me see. Did I cover everything? But that would be another thing, like I said, internal oversampling, and that would just cause the workstation to be kind of buggy and maybe unusable for people who don't have good computers. So if you have a crummy computer, this could be a problem running the software. If they had implemented internal oversampling, 2x oversampling on everything, right? You know? So there's no need to have that. You can put that in yourself. Well, one thing is I don't go to Pro Tools and I don't have this. I don't have a console to work on. I don't have my compressors already set. This compressor is badass, bro. Just telling you. The leveler. See, they give you 3 different compressor modes. You get leveler, compressor, and limiter. Well, limiter, if you wanted to try the good old SSL smack technique, right, which is infinity gain, then not infinity gain, infinity ratio, and then ultra fast release. Well, you can do that here. You didn't know that? That's another thing I discovered. So hold on, wait a second. You mean I can do that with their compressor? I can do the SSLs. I don't like the way that sounds, though, to be honest. Like on the SSL plugins, I guess it was okay, but in Harrison, it's too smacky. In Harrison Mixbus 32C, like that thing will make your drums blast through your speakers doing that. But basically, you might want to do that. I don't know. You know, you can set it and you can do that. So you would hit limiter, then this knob, which is an attack knob on the leveler, would be a release knob on the limiter, and then you just set the release all the way down, and then bring this down. When you bring this down, this is your compressor. This is your threshold, your compressor threshold. So you would bring this down, and that's your compressor threshold to engage the compressor. The nice thing is you have your gain reduction meter right here too. That's where those little red lights light up. It's showing your gain reduction. For those who don't know, haven't used the software. And then of course you have your sends, you know, which you have up to 12 mix buses to send to. I never use them, once in a blue moon, or I might do parallel compression if I really feel like I need to do it. I heard that's really good to do, believe it or not, on like jazz and orchestral stuff, right? Is to bus it. And then we'll do parallel busing, actually, parallel compression. So then on the bus, you're going to do aggressive compression, maybe even drive it if you want, and throw up some low end or whatever, you know, just make it really smashed and squashed sounding, and then bring the dry signal in with it. And you'd hit that on the sends here. So this is your wet dry knob, and you would then basically take out the compressed signal from the dry signal and then bring that in. But as an addition here, you can probably do some very gentle compression with the leveler, which has a low ratio, but they don't tell you what it is, but I'm assuming it's probably like 2, probably like a ratio of 2 or 3, and a medium attack with a fixed release. And it's good enough, man. Wonderful for me. Sounds damn good on everything. It's like putting ketchup on everything. You can put the leveler on everything as your main bus compressor that does all your heavy lifting. That, to me, though, when I use the leveler, I get very transparent sounding compression. So I'm getting the compressor action out of it and reducing the dynamic range in a tasteful way, but also still retaining a lot of transients. That's something we like. We like transients. So that's why I find that to be very good. Can't think of anything else here. I did use the filter on this one along with Fiverr, because Fiverr doesn't have a filter. I don't see one. No, they just have a 5-band EQ. They don't have high and low pass filtering. So I will use the filters. These filters are fine. These filters are amazing on here. That's another thing. The filters are badass on Harrison Mixbus 32C. So this is the workstation. Like, it's professional, dude. This thing is this is the most professional thing you could be using to do mixing. Yeah, because professionals don't want complicated shit, right? You want something you're gonna be able to get a quick, easy mix. Because I mean, come on, this is only 15 tracks. If I had to do like 100, right, that's gonna take me an hour, at least. I don't want to be spending more than like a minute or two per track trying to get things right, you know. So there's that. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed my videos, I think I already said before, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's your boy Vigilante Styles. And until we meet again, I'm out. Peace.